Good evening, everyone. How are we all doing? I am Chris, and I am here today to give my review on Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I'm going to try and not say that title as many times as possible. It's a bit of a tongue twister, which is the 2021 live action slash stop motion animated comedy drama film. It just feels like about every single genre all rolled into one. Um, yeah, so this is tying in with the series of reviews that I'm doing based on the films that have been nominated at the 95th Academy Awards. The awards season is a little under a month away now. I think it's the 13th of March, at least for us in the UK, the early hours of the morning on the 13th of March. And I've still got a lot of films to watch, but this is the first one in the Best Animated Feature category that I'm actually reviewing and that I've seen so far. In the run-up for this category in particular, we've got Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, the film, of course, that we're reviewing today, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. That's twice I've said that now. Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. And as I mentioned, this is the first one out of the whole bunch that I've seen. I don't know how long this review is going to be. I don't have an extensive amount really to say on this film. For anyone who doesn't know, like I didn't know, I went into this film completely cold. I didn't know anything about this property. I didn't even know afterwards, after the film had finished and I was reading up on it a little bit, I found out that it was based on a series of short films that were released on YouTube. Also, I think they were also called Marcel the Shell with Shoes. There we go. That's three times. Are we keeping count? And yeah, there was a list of three films, and I think those were released in 2010, 2013, and 2014, I think. And then the creator, well, the director, he also stars in the film and was helped write the screenplay. Dean Fleischer Camp mentioned that they wanted to work on a feature film with the character of Marcel. Screenplays written by, as I mentioned, Dean Fleischer Camp, Jenny Slate, and Nick Paley, and also stars Jenny Slate as, well, the voice actress of the character of Marcel. So I knew nothing about this property. I knew nothing about this film. I hadn't even seen a trailer. I'd seen the poster, and that was it. That was the extent of my knowledge. So, the plot's kind of basic, really. It's a character called Marcel, who's an anthropomorphic shell, and he's living with his grandma, Connie. And that's it. It's just kind of a bit of a slice of life movie, really. If you're going to, branch the plot out a little bit more than that, Marcel has been separated from his family, and he's trying to find his family ultimately and reconnect with them. This was a very weird concept to me. I mean, I love animated films, but just in terms of it being a live action slash stop motion animation film, and it's still nominated in the category of Best Animated Feature, it did make me cast my mind back to, I want to say, 2014, which makes me feel very old now, when the Lego Movie came out, which I thought was an outstanding film. And it wasn't nominated, I believe. I don't know if this was the true reason it wasn't nominated, but that film wasn't nominated in the category of Best Animated Feature because it did feature a live action segment with the whole Will Ferrell scene towards the end of the movie. And I don't know if it was based on that scene alone, which meant that it wasn't eligible to be nominated for Best Animated Feature. Then along comes this film, where it's all live action, apart from the little stop motion characters that are in the actual environment. So I don't know. Maybe they've relaxed the rules on that a little bit more now, or maybe there was more to the fact that Lego Movie wasn't nominated in the first place. So yeah, that did occur to me initially. It's a very weird concept. You've just got to go along with it. So I hadn't seen any of these shorts on YouTube before. So this was my first real introduction to the character of Marcel. And very quickly, I was completely enamored with the character. This film is just so goddamn wholesome. And the character's wholesome. Marcel just shows an unwavering sense of positivity and fascination with the surrounding world and going about his day, doing what he needs to do, collecting resources to support him and his grandma, in this whimsical little world of this shell character. And the screenplay, it's not laugh out loud funny every single second, but I did appreciate some of Marcel's humor. Not all the jokes landed, but the grand majority did. And there were a few laughs here and there in the audience. Quite a small crowd for it, as I expected. I think I was one of among maybe 10 in there. And I could hear a few of the conversations happening before and after the film, and they all seemed like hardcore film fans. So clearly they're also into the Academy Award films and the Oscar season, and they're ticking all those films off the list. I got that impression anyway, but I could be wrong. And yeah, Jenny Slate, really, really fun performance of the character, I would say, and just really brings this character to life. And I think ultimately that's what I love most about animation. I've always been passionate about animation ever since I was a kid, and it's something that's never gone away. And whether it be hand-drawn animation, stop motion, or even 3D animation, of course, that kind of dominates the landscape at the moment. I love that filmmakers, animators, and obviously the combination of the voice actor as well, they're able to create a very real character that leaps off the page or comes alive, whether it's a little claymation model or whatever it happens to be, through stop motion, and they're able to just bring these inanimate things to life. And I always think that's so wonderful when they can do that. And Marcel is a fantastic character in this. As I mentioned, it's a slice of life, so we see him going about his day to day, and that positivity, man, like that's just, it's kind of what I needed right now. It's kind of what we all need a little bit of, I think. And don't get me wrong, some characters that are just unwaveringly positive can be a bit grating at some points, and there were moments where Marcel's singing and it gets a little bit sickly sweet, and I'm just like, please stop. But for the most part, I really, really appreciated it. It's such a simple story. It's really such a simple story, but I think what carries this film for me are just the emotions that come with it. And there are some genuinely poignant, thought-provoking moments through Marcel's character. I don't want to give them all away, but I think ultimately the theme of the film is being content with your place in the world. You haven't got to be this like grandiose thing. There's a moment in the film where he becomes an internet celebrity. And actually, I have watched those 3 shorts now that came out in, like 2010s and the early 2010s. And there are a lot of lines and there's a lot of moments that they've repeated or, made into this film again. So if that's been the people's introduction to the character of Marcel, if they initially watch those shorts, they're kind of getting the same thing. But it also works for newcomers like myself who hadn't seen those and get introduced to it. But there's a moment in the film where, through this documentary that Dean's creating, he moves into this Airbnb because he's gone through a divorce, and he happens to meet Marcel, and he finds this little creature fascinating, and he wants to make a documentary on Marcel's life and try and help him find his family. So it's this nice, close-knit friendship, this nice bond between these two characters. And after releasing a few YouTube videos, Marcel becomes big, brings in like millions of views, which is, clearly aping off the actual success of those initial animated shorts. And he's surrounded by fans that just, are taking selfies outside of his apartment and just kind of running amok. And Marcel doesn't want the celebrity. He's very happy. He's quite contented going about his life as he is. And he's offered the chance to, what's the show called? He's offered to be interviewed on 60 Minutes with Leslie Stahl, in a bid to help him find his family and get his story out there so that people can connect with him more. And when he's beset with all that celebrity and all that stardom, doesn't want it, and he runs away from change. And we kind of, without giving anything away, by the end of the film, we kind of arrive at a place where it's just being contented with who you are, like your place in this world. You haven't got to be this grand, big celebrity. You've just got to do your bit every day, get through it, put a smile on if you can. And there is a line, and I'm trying to think what Marcel says. And if you're not an overly positive person, which I am almost certainly not, again, some lines like this might piss you off a little bit when people go like, oh, just keep smiling, get through it. But I think it's just from the cuteness of Marcel. You kind of Marcel for president. I think there's some good life lessons that come through, and it's almost done through this, this childlike innocence of the world, which is always the most wholesome, characters and things, and outlook on life. Really, is that that innocence of the world, that naivety to the world. But Marcel's just a very wise character, and has lots of words of wisdom of his own. And I think the final scene of the film, again, I'm not going to give anything away, is a genuinely beautiful moment and a perfect ending to the film, and is actually quite thought-provoking in some ways. I want to talk about the soundtrack as well briefly. So the music's by Disaster Piece. From the name alone, I didn't recognize Disaster Piece, but checking through Disaster Piece's work, worked on It Follows, the horror film, which had a phenomenal retro-sounding soundtrack, very synth-heavy, very 80s inspired, and this is very synth-heavy as well. I didn't really pay attention to the music all the time. It serves as this nice blanket to the film, and it just kind of lets the dialogue and the characters play out. The animation itself, stop motion, I'd love to see how they filmed this. I'd love some kind of behind the scenes video to see how they did it. And having watched the animated shorts now from YouTube to what they can do with this, with a much bigger budget, I would assume, you can definitely see where the budget's gone and how it's been improved. Not obviously the fact it's 90 minutes, it's feature length. Is the film a little bit too long at 90 minutes? I could have maybe shaved off about 10 or something like that. Just got it to like a neat 80 minutes. I did kind of get to the point of the film where I was like, okay, is this wrapping up soon? But I think any longer than 90 minutes and it would have definitely been outstaying its welcome. But when you see a lot of these films that if there's like a famous YouTube video or a video goes viral or something, a famous internet character, and they always do a film afterwards, a feature-length film, they very, very rarely work because the whole dynamic's different, the audience is, the medium's different. And I think it can diminish a lot from what initially makes those YouTube characters great or those shows connect with people. But that's not the case for this one. I think it was a very, very nice, heartfelt story. Themes of family and loss and just life, just like moving on through life and the changes that life throws at you, but to approach it with courage and with positivity. And it's really good themes. I came out of this film in a very, very good mood. It almost reminded me of something like Winnie the Pooh, where it's just so wholesome and nice that you can't really hate it. It's just nice. It's just a really, really lovely little film. Would I ever rush back to watch it again? I wouldn't be in a rush to, but it definitely felt different. It felt like a breath of fresh air for the animated feature category. But I did wonder where the new rules are with that, with live action elements and animation, and if they've relaxed that up a little bit now. As I say, I love animated films, so this being the first film that I've reviewed so far, out of the 5 that have been nominated this year, I'm just really looking forward to diving into the rest of these animated films. Having not seen the rest of them, I don't know if this is necessarily a strong year for the animated feature category. I think it's a very different one, and it's one that the makeup of the category is very different from what we'd normally see. Usually you'd have Disney films constantly in there, and granted there is one Pixar film, but this has been a very, 2022 now, this past film year has been a very weak year for Disney when it comes to animation. Pixar's Lightyear absolutely bombed, and the reviews weren't great for it either. Turning Red was made and it was just put straight on Disney Plus, and it wasn't even given a theatrical release, or maybe a limited. No, I'm pretty sure it was just on Disney Plus. I don't even think it got a limited release. Strange World, the recent Disney animated classic. I don't know if that technically counts as 2023 feature, and that's why it's not on there. But even still, Disney's had a very, very weak year, and usually every single year, Pixar or Disney dominate the category. I don't think they're taking it this year. I personally think my prediction, I am going to have an official predictions video out there close to the time of the Oscars. I think Guillermo del Toro's got it in the bag this year for Pinocchio, and the stop motion animation does look fantastic in that. But it's just nice to see a category this year that's 2 stop motion animated features in there, in the animated feature category, which I think is absolutely wonderful. We just need to get 2D animation back. We just need to get classic hand-drawn animation back, and then I'll be happy. I think we're going to stick with some of these animated features for a while. A lot of the films I need to watch now are pretty much all watchable on Netflix and various streaming services. So I think we're just going to stay the course at the moment with these animated features. Turning Red, of course, is on Disney Plus. Sea Beast and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio are all on Netflix, I think. The only one that isn't is Puss in Boots, which I can get to the cinema and see at some point. After that, we've got a few of the best pictures and a couple of the other ones to review. So there's still plenty of films left, and I've got about just under a month to do it. So if I average a few films a week, I should be all right, and I should have them all done. Because last year I left it right down to the wire, and I had to watch about 3 or 4 films in one day of the day of the Oscars to get them all done. So I probably won't get them all done, but I'll get all the main hitters. I'll get all the best picture ones done, and I'll get all the best animated feature ones done. What's going to be the next review? I don't know. It's going to be entirely depend on what I'm in the mood to watch. I'm tempted to watch Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I think that's going to be a strong one. I love that story, and I'm really excited to see what Guillermo del Toro has done with it. I'm very late to the party on that one. But yeah, I guess this has done it for my review on Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I don't think this is going to be a film for everyone. I will say that. It might be a bit inaccessible for some people, but give it a shot. It does feel very, very different. It's done in that documentary film style. And if that's not your thing, then maybe avoid it. But if it's something different, check it out. I'd say maybe do what I didn't do. Check out the animated shorts on YouTube. They're really short. They're like 3 minutes a piece. You can get through them quickly. And that'll give you a good sense of Marcel's character, I think. And if you're okay with that and you like the character, then give the film a shot. I don't know how long this is going to be in theaters for. I've checked the Odeon app. I think it's going to be on for like another week or so, maybe another 2 weeks. I don't think it's going to be on for long because it is a very sort of under the radar film, I think, in terms of like wider audiences at least. Anyway, I won't drag this review out for any longer than it needs to be. Thank you very much for watching my review. If you have done so, please do subscribe to the channel for more movie reviews, discussions, and live streams. As I mentioned, the Academy Awards will be here on the 13th of March, and I will be here as well. I'll be live streaming throughout the night, and you can expect a lot more movie reviews before that period. Obviously, I've got a lot of other things planned for the channel, retrospectives down the line, and I'll be getting back into the quizzes very soon as well. So yeah, please do subscribe. Like the video as well. It helps it get it out there more and into the algorithm world, I guess, as we grow this community. Yeah, like Marcel trying to find his community. Let's build this community. Slowly increasing. It's really good to see. So I appreciate everyone that's already hit that subscribe button. And give me a follow on Twitter as well, at Hobbit Fan Editor. I'll post all the times that I go live and give you guys all updates as and when I know when things are happening. And if you have seen the movie, let me know what you thought of Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. There you go. One more time, I promise, the full title. Let me know your thoughts on it. Did you enjoy it? Were you just kind of about it? And let me know if you grew up watching the animated shorts as well. That'll do it for me. Have a very good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever it is you are in the world. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Take care, everyone.